Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up. The line's wrapped around the stadium. Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to. See, look crazy, Bill.
Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome in. Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show is always built by our friends over at RMB. Get in touch with Rhett over at RMB Builders. RMB-builders.com is where you can find them online. Rhett Bourgeois, from brand new custom homes to if you need additions to the house, whatever you're looking for, you can get in touch with Rhett and the crew as they can take care of you. RMB Builders, also brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center, formerly Metropolitan Health Group. Same services, same great people. Get in touch with them over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Charles Harvey and Jason Ramazan and the entire crew over there, as you can find them over at Southern Regional Medical Center. No guest again today. We'll have Shea Dixon back with us on Wednesdays. He'll start tomorrow, and then we'll have Jacques, obviously. And then we got Coach Matt McMahon coming in on Thursday. So we will have some people running through here. Leading up into SEC Media Days for the LSU football team coming up on Monday.
Good trio.
We saw the announcement yesterday come from LSU officially, as they will be sending over Jaden Daniels, which I love, man, to send over a quarterback. Obviously, Joe Burrow was the last quarterback that LSU sent over. But before that, it had been a while, right, since LSU had kind of committed to that position, because it was always kind of controversial on whether or not, or who was going to start going into the season. But by sending the quarterback, you're saying this is the guy, this is the leader, this is the starter going into the season. And then Josh Williams, who is obviously a fantastic football player and a great representative of the school and the program, will be heading over. Along with Mekhi Wingo, who we've had Mekhi on a couple of times, and
super impressive.
He's as good as an interview that's ever run through here. Not just players, I'm talking about anybody. He's as well thought out and well spoken of an individual that you'll find at 21, 22 years old. I mean, he's a super impressive guy. So LSU will be well represented on Monday at SEC Media Days, which actually moves over to Nashville. I will not be there. I know Jacques and the team at WAFB. Little Jay and I are actually taking off to Vegas on Friday and heading up to watch some Summer League NBA basketball for the weekend, and we'll be flying back on Monday. So I will not be here for the show on Monday, but we will recap, obviously, SEC Media Days when we get back starting on Tuesday. But LSU will be again featured on the first day of SEC Media Day, which I can tell you I was down there last year, and I really enjoyed it. In fact, it was even dating back to Ed Ogeron's last year. He was and the LSU team was featured on opening day of SEC Media Days. And I would imagine for the program that's probably best case scenario. Just knock that stuff out. You know, I mean, a lot of these guys, the coaches, will probably take off to a vacation for a couple of days, where this is a part, I believe, now with the new schedule, I don't know if you actually do get days off, but I know before, transfer portal and, the recruiting schedule and the way that it changed, that these were some of the days that coaches had off. You would hear them either speaking about leaving to go on vacation from media days, or getting back from vacation and flying in for vacation for media days. I remember Lane Kiffin kind of like broke his vacation up one year and kind of flew in the middle of SEC media days, in the middle of his vacation, and then kind of flew back to the Florida Gulf Coast. But this is this is one of the last build up moments of really football season. For football season, for us really begins in August, right? When players and teams report, and we'll start seeing NFL teams report here in the next couple of weeks, and then college teams report right there at the first of the month in August. So, SEC Media Days has routinely been that last moment that, really kind of signifies that the season is here. Once you get into August, you're talking practices, and you're looking at film, you're looking at video of action happening on practice fields. At that time, you're just, flipping the days of the calendar. It's just Xing the days off, and next thing you know, you're kicking the ball off, and, you're into a 4-month football season, 5-month football season. So we're just about there. And SEC Media Day, as we said, really is kind of a, one of those major moments. Yeah, one of those mile markers that you look at that says, you're right there. The season's here.
I'd imagine the Big Ten Conference, so we'll have an interesting media day after the Pat Fitzgerald news.
Yeah, and some of the news that we talked about yesterday, Pat Fitzgerald has been fired amid the allegations of widespread hazing that was happening within his football program. Michael Schell, the president of the university, wrote an open letter to the community of Northwestern stating that the head coach is ultimately responsible for the culture of his team, and the hazing we investigated was widespread and clearly not a secret within the program, providing Coach Fitzgerald with the opportunity to learn that this was happening. Either way, the culture in Northwestern football, while incredible in some ways, was broken in others. Defensive coordinator David Braun is expected to be named the Wildcats' acting coach, according to ESPN. I would imagine that this news around Northwestern, around Evanston in Chicago is shocking. I would also imagine that this would send shockwaves through just about every head coach's office in the country. Because if Pat Fitzgerald can be fired at Northwestern, just about anybody in the country outside of Saban can be ousted in their college town as well. Because when you think about Pat Fitzgerald, that guy is Northwestern. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, if they made a movie about Northwestern football and you had to Hollywood cast the coach, Pat Fitzgerald would be the dude. He's a former player, a former standout player at Northwestern, from the area, understands the program, absolutely in love with the place. He turned down the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers job to stay at Northwestern. He's 48 years old, and he's been there 17 years.
Oh.
He's more recognizable with his program than some national championship coaches are with theirs. Really. When you think Jimbo Fisher, do you think Texas A&M football? Not really. I know when I think Northwestern football, I see Pat Fitzgerald walking his team onto the field. And the school had to make a decision that the president obviously knew was going to be controversial. And I'd imagine in that area and close proximity to that program, this is a dark, dark day. Big Ten Media Days is next week. The communications director for Northwestern State football was hired by the conference. His first day on the job is today. How lucky is that guy? You talking about running away from a burning building with the flames on your ass. I mean, like,
No, I'm not there
get the
anymore.
hell
Get
out of there, bro. Like, sprint.
Somebody pull the fire alarm.
I mean, the disaster management, this is, you could maybe point at as being one of the issues of it, the communication of it. It's a disaster, man. I mean, the hazing stuff, you read the reports, it's weird kind of behavior that was turned into by an anonymous source to the school newspaper. It's a wild story, but at the end of it, Pat Fitzgerald is out at Northwestern under a month and a half before the season.
And how quickly the news cycle turns, where it was a 2-week, I'm not making a lot of anything, but like the NFL with the Ray Rice thing, where it was a 2-week, same thing, 2-week suspension, and then the more the story builds, the more like, oh, we might have to, like, this is over. Same thing for Pat Fitzgerald, it was a 2-week suspension. Now it turns into within 12 hours of, it was a 2-week suspension and now you're fired and you lost your job. And somebody that played at Northwestern, is Northwestern, like you said, is now like, dude, we can't, there's nothing we can do.
I mean, like,
because they wanted to save him, like that.
Oh, sure. I mean, I would imagine that well, if you kind of read into the story, this news actually broke around this story in like January. So if you're paying attention, they were really kind of like trying to.
Well, and think about all of the pull Northwestern has in the media.
Absolutely.
Like Mike Greenberg, Mike Wilbon, all like they're very big Northwestern guys. Yes.
I mean,
they are between them and Syracuse, they're jockeying for who is the bigger in sports broadcasting. So that's how you can suppress the story. But when it comes out, it came out through the school paper. This is the Daily Reveille breaking the story.
In a school that is prideful of journalism, at the end of the day,
this is how we get
the students take down the biggest character on campus, right? I mean, yesterday it felt like it was kind of being outed as a witch hunt. Like, it was kind of like that. There was a section of the vocal players, the anonymous players that had come forward that were saying like they didn't like Fitzgerald, they wanted him to lose his job. Which, I mean, I think
that happens.
That happens on. I mean, you put 105 people in the same room.
Wait, did he say the school newspaper broke this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
If LSU, if somebody did that at the Reveille,
that's what I'm saying. That's the same thing.
I know it sounds bad, but we all know how it would go.
No, I'm with you. But I mean,
it ain't happening.
Think about if the school newspaper would have broke the story of Les Miles sexually harassing students.
I mean,
while he was the head coach.
Find the student.
What if they had the student as the anonymous
in the interview?
source?
Oh, I mean, Joe Oliva, find the student.
Yeah.
Okay. F. King Alexander, find the student. Bring him in. You're no longer a student at LSU.
Or you're getting a scholarship.
Or how much?
Yeah, how much? Like, how much do we have to pay you to shut this down?
You want that 4-year degree to be a 1-year degree? You got a master's.
We can get it done now. Graduate
that
this
tops
semester.
is extra tops.
I don't know, man. I think moreover, I remember this story when Bobby Petrino got fired at Arkansas. Like, there was
the tale was all his time.
There was a lot of coaches that were like,
"Oh shit!
Wait, did he get fired? Can he get fired for that?
Wait, did y'all not see the Sugar Bowl hat?
A little inner work relationship like that. Is that an issue? I mean, there was a lot of coaches that were like asking questions and getting lawyers to do some research on the HR department at certain universities just because I think it was a shockwave through head coaching offices. I would imagine that this is another shockwave through coaching offices this morning of, hey, everybody, you better make sure that you know everything that's going on in this program. Because I'm telling you, people that say, Rick Pitino telling you he didn't know about a prostitution ring that was happening in a dormitory on campus, and even to this, where Pat Fitzgerald is claiming a little ignorance on, not being as connected to his program and having this information. The president is saying there's no way he could not have known. And maybe that's the fact. But to not be able to cut that stuff off and say, hey, look, if first off, we don't have the awareness that it's going on and we can't find the sources to cut that stuff out, people will lose their jobs. I mean, I want to say that like 95% of the team signed a letter of support. It might have been 100% of the team signed a letter of support and dropped it off to the president's office on Friday in support of Fitzgerald. He lost his job on Monday.
They tried to Rudy it?
Yes. I mean, I think they went in there just showing like, hey, look, some of this stuff was made up. Some of this stuff was a witch hunt from a certain section of the former team that said that they were out to, that they wanted him to lose his job. And, some of it happened out of the locker room. Whatever they were claiming, they wanted Fitzgerald to keep his job, the current team. And then they wake up on Tuesday morning and he's out. And then they got to kick the season off in a month and a half.
They went 1-11 last year. You want him to keep his job for what? To go 1-11 again? I mean, I guess they like him, but cool.
That's what I'm saying. It's a culture thing. Like you appreciate your coach, you respect it. We're building something here. He's a Northwestern guy. That's how Northwestern is.
There probably is a section of the community that thinks his time is up. But there's also, if you look around Northwestern, their facilities have been upgraded tremendously. Not only in just football. I mean, it's a school that prideful in sports like lacrosse and things like, track and field, and all of those have seen a major upgrade in facilities. And the big person behind the fundraising is Fitzgerald. I mean, I believe they call the football facility, it's like Fitzgerald. It's like Fitzgerald Palace or something. I mean, it's his vision. It's his money. So that there's some boosters. That there's some people within that office
Somebody's
that
fighting for
are
him.
saying like, "Hey, we got to fire him." Like, whoa,
he's untouchable.
whoa.
Wait.
Like you fire him, and you're blowing up a
vision.
10-year run of fundraising. I mean, you're cutting off relationships with certain people within the fundraising section of Northwestern that he's got a great relationship with. They say the risk is worth the reward here. They think that whatever they have on Fitzgerald is strong enough for him to lose his job less than 2 months ahead of the season and a week away from Big Ten Media Days. This is going to be a circus. I mean, like, they're going to have to coach up the interim coach on this, and whatever players they send, David Braun, the defensive coordinator, is going to, I mean, he's the lucky guy here that's got to go represent them at Big Ten Media Days and answer questions about this. And I mean, Northwestern at this point, I would imagine, is opening up an investigation to find out who knew what. If they're claiming that Fitzgerald knew, well, I'd imagine the defensive coordinator knew.
That's what I was about to say.
Like
I mean, how can you hire him?
Where do you stop? I mean, where do you cut it off at? I mean, this is a mess, right? I mean, it's going to be something that really boils into the season. I mean, I would imagine, Stewie saying that they went 1-11 next year. They may not. I mean, they may not score a touchdown this year.
And then versus Iowa.
I mean, good.
Cue up the Frank Beamer meme.
Let's do it.
0-0. Going into overtime. Hell yeah. But that's and obviously, like, things like this get lost in the wash at some point. Like, the news cycle turns over and it gets forgotten, right? Like, once you make the Pat Fitzgerald firing, that's the big spot. So the defensive coordinator feels like he'll be safe, but he definitely knew too. So where do you like draw the line? But after you make the firing, you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? Like, it's not like systemic, which it is, but that's how the news works, where you just get rid of one and you save the many.
Yeah.
And so, like, he'll be fine. But if you're telling me that Pat Fitzgerald, a middle linebacker for Northwestern, wasn't, like, in lockstep with his defensive coordinator about
God.
Like,
I mean,
he definitely knows. He's like, hey, hire the defensive coordinator if I have one more thing to say, And it's like, well, he probably knew that y'all were doing.
it's a football locker room, man.
It was on the whiteboard.
Like people that claim, like, if you've never been into a locker room, if you've never been on a team, if you've never been around a group that you're all pulling in the same. Everybody knows what's going on. I mean, like there's rarely going to be a secret that is kept from start to finish of a season. There may be a group of people that know certain things that others don't, but for the most part, on a team, everybody is kind of in tune with one another. You kind of know what's going on. I may not hang out with them, but I know what they're up to. I don't go to my coach's house to eat dinner or go home with him, but I kind of know his story, right? I mean, like it's not this place where you can really hide. I mean, it's not a place where you can get away with a lot of stuff. I mean, for the most part, when you're in a locker room, when you spend as much time together as these people do, I mean, really, that they are together more than families are together. They're more together than siblings and they're more. They spend more time together than they do with anyone else. It's so difficult for a 16, 17, 18-year-old recruit to go, and I'm just using this for an example because this is the type of claims that you hear from people in these positions. Like Louisville basketball, for instance, is claiming that the head coach, Rick Pitino, who has been involved in basketball at this point for nearly 40 years and is so obsessed about coaching, he's still trying to get at 80. He can't get away from it. He's got more money than he knows what to do with. He owns horse races. He owns race horses. I mean, like he's got more money than he can spend, and he wants to go coach college basketball. I mean, like, all right, whatever you want. But they're claiming that they're recruiting players by sending them into dorm rooms and allowing them to sleep with prostitutes on recruiting visits. They're believing that a 17, 18-year-old male is going to keep their mouth shut about that to everyone, right? I mean, like, you either know a 17 or 18-year-old or you've been 17 or 18 years old in your life. If you had that experience, odds are you're not keeping your mouth shut about it. You're telling at least 2 people that happened. And Louisville's expecting you to believe that all of those recruits came through there, had opportunities to have that experience, ended up coming to Louisville partly because of that experience, and the head coach had no idea of it. Get the hell out of here. And I think Northwestern dove into this story, and come Saturday night, they said, look, man, this thing runs really, really to bad spots. There's no way this guy could have not known about it. And people in position of power that have, it's their responsibility and task to create a safe environment for, student athletes. When your parent says, hey, man, Johnny, go enjoy college, they're expecting them to be protected in the locker room when they're on your watch. And, in times like these where you've got one of the most popular characters in Pat Fitzgerald in the school's history at the center of a huge controversy, there's still a decision that has to be made where you can't keep him around. I mean, that has to reverberate around head coaching offices all over the country this morning. Division 1, 2, 3, high school, doesn't matter. If you're a coach and you feel a little entitled to your position, you're celebrating championships, you're walking around, you got players everywhere, you feel like you can do no wrong. There was nobody more connected, nobody that fit more from a school to a coach than Pat Fitzgerald did with Northwestern, and he lost his job in July from a story that the school newspaper wrote. Outside of Saban, I'd say nobody's safe. Really, I'm trying to think of one peer that Saban may have. I mean, Kirby Smart's catching he's catching heaters over his team getting speeding tickets in Athens. I mean, like, there is a section of people that are on his ass. I mean, they're like keeping reports. I saw that 2 of them got tickets last week.
500 players arrested for reckless driving.
I mean, like, he's got a issue on his hands. There's people that are dying in car accidents. Number 1 picks are being caught up in it. The
Jalen Carter.
Who's my man? The professor over here who's always talking about the
library.
The library, is it Man?
Yeah, I think it is.
I mean, like, that section of Georgia, that are led by like those types of people. They want Kirby. They don't give a damn about championships.
Robert Mann.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't care about that stuff. They see their players flying around campus. They read the reports that staffers are dying in car accidents. They're racing the number 1 pick. I mean, there's a little bit of a boil. I mean, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution is against Georgia football. I mean, it would be like the Advocate.
Yeah.
Being in direct confrontation daily with LSU football. It's a hell of a stance to take if you're going to be the hometown newspaper. And the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which I know their reputation over the last couple of years has gone to literal, crap. But still, it gets circulated around that area. And, like, people could you imagine the Birmingham News going after Saban? They'd burn that place down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, they would, like, seriously, they would throw like RPGs at that place in the middle of the night.
Pitchfork.
I mean, like, they would go burn that place to the state. I mean, there's only one coach in America that can drive into work every single day and feel 100% secure.
That Jacques Doucet is in the spot.
There's no way.
I'd probably say 2.
Who?
Dabo.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
If he doesn't conform to NIL, there's going to be a section of people that say, once he stops winning, Dabo stops being Dabo. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I'm
just.
But that's a very good comparison to Pat Fitzgerald. Like, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Like, you are the program, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, Dabo's made it all about Dabo. And whenever shit hits the fan pretty quick, I got one person to point to.
See you, Dabo.
See ya. Especially now that Brent Venables is in Oklahoma.
Exactly.
Like, you kind of lost your cachet there where that was your guy.
I mean, like, nobody's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Cold world.
It's Pat. I mean, there's a bunch of people walking in their offices this morning going,
"Oof,
Pat Fitzgerald lost his job."
Jeez.
Like, Pat Fitzgerald's out at Northwestern.
And that's going to make probably the story bigger for SEC Media Days for Kirby, where it's like, all right, if we're going to start pushing this narrative where, hey, do you have control of your program or not? Mm-hmm. This is going to be a story because that's how it's a trickle-down effect where, all right, this happened at Northwestern. What's going on at Georgia where it's 2 different scenarios, obviously, but also it's the Jim Trussell lack of institutional control.
Right.
Like, if the NCAA was involved, which they're clearly not ever at all in anything, unless they feel like they should be and form a committee. But this is that situation where it's, what's going on with your program? Like, do we have to dive into this? Right. And Kirby Smart probably wants nothing to do with that narrative. Like,
and if I am Kirby Smart, if I am
I'm
Brian
suspending
Kelly,
somebody.
If I am Jimbo Fisher, Brian Kelly, Lane Kiffin, all these guys that are making all this money that are being paid to coach these 14 universities that are prestigious jobs in college sports. That is, I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime type opportunity if you get it, right?
There's only so many.
I am paying somebody either that I'm going to the administration and saying this is their role, or I'm paying out of my own pocket and I'm saying, don't tell anybody you're doing this. This is what you're doing. Make sure nothing goes on in this program that can get us burnt. And if they call you a rat, they call you whatever, I'm just going to keep paying you. That's all I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like, you are a valuable position in this program because the coach can't be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I believe that there are some circumstances where even people like Pitino and Fitzgerald and even Saban, to a degree, may not know every last detail of what went on a Friday night, right? But I'm paying somebody to be there that knows that went on that Friday
The
night.
most Italian thing ever.
Or college football coach that's making $8 million a year that says, don't bring me down over some sex ring that's happening off campus during some hazing that I really did not know the severity of. You know what I mean? Like, I maybe you were teasing the freshmen. Okay. But I didn't know that this stuff was going on where in July I look up and 17 years after we put all the work in, I lose my job over it. You know what I mean?
Nobody thought to give me a heads up that it got worse than it was.
Justin Vincent was on the payroll to follow Tyrann Mathieu around in 2011. One day his mom got sick back in Lake Charles and he went home. One day he got sick and left Tyrann Mathieu and went home to Lake Charles. What happened? Fails a drug test. One day. Once I heard that story, I said, how? How is there not a backup to Justin Vincent then? That you just have on payroll? Well, they didn't see in the program. If you're Les Miles then. When you're making $3 million a year and you can pay somebody $1,200 a month.
A day.
Whatever it is to make sure Tyrann Mathieu does not get in any trouble. Well, Tyrann Mathieu should look at, he can't right now, so pay somebody to do it. Until he can do it, we'll make sure that he can do it. Well, why? Because we want to win a national championship.
He's the program.
That's why. I mean, it's simple. I mean, it's mindless. I cannot believe Pat Fitzgerald's got to be laying in bed right now as we speak, looking at the ceiling thinking, oh my God, I just lost this gig over whether he didn't or did not know. Over hazing. Over hazing. I mean, that is,
it's avoidable.
It's dumb.
It's on him.
Yeah.
It's where you let it get out of, like I said, like institutional control to where it gets that boundless to where people are reporting on it and players feel comfortable enough to, look, we need to make this stop. Like it obviously was, and there's been like accusations of like racially charged things at Northwestern, which isn't shocking, I would imagine, whenever you go to basically a private institution in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Like that's not, those are things that are going to happen, but that's on Pat Fitzgerald as well, where you have to be able to have the pulse of your program to, hey, we're cutting this shit out. Like whatever's going on here needs to stop. Like even if I know a little bit about like the hazing stuff, which is old school football thing. Like I get that. But if it gets to racially charged things and other stuff, like, bro, we're not doing that here. I'm not losing my job over y'all. Like, what are we doing?
I mean,
and we won one game last year.
Be a human being.
Exactly.
Be a human being. All right, we're brought to you daily by Katie's Restaurant. Remember, Katie's is located down on Iberville Street, right in the heart of New Orleans in Mid-City. Get in touch with Katie's. They got great New Orleans specials every day, cold beer, St. Louis-style pizza. You can find them at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com is where you can find them. A couple of more draft picks for LSU baseball come off the board yesterday, including Trey Morgan, who goes into the third round. To the Tampa Bay Rays as the Rays select Trey Morgan with a good slot. That was a little lower than I thought. I thought he stayed on the board a little longer than I.
Yeah, but just because talking to Mikey, who obviously got drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays, it's the perfect spot for him. He was like, this is a great fit for what he wants to do because they'll allow him to either work in the outfield or play first base, and it's just the way that organization works, it's from top down. The minor league system is awesome. And so he was like, this couldn't be a better spot for Trey because he's a kind of a mercurial player. You don't really know what he does everything well, but it's also a little different. And so for him to be able to find a place like Tampa Bay, it seems like the perfect fit for him to be able to kind of be himself and figure it out.
Third round, 88th selection, Trey Morgan got the call. That was followed up as I was glad to see this. Jay Johnson called it. He called it last week when he was sitting in the chair. He said if somebody does not spend a draft pick from the 6th to the 10th round on Gavin Dugas, it will be a great. I want to make sure and say because it was a great wording. It was like.
How could you not take the guy?
Yeah, he said it would be almost discrediting the Major League Baseball draft. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like it would almost discredit it if Gavin Dugas wasn't taken. And he was actually taken in the 6th round by the Washington Nationals. So he joins Dylan Cruz, a part of the Nationals, as he was the selection yesterday. And Cole Henry had a great tweet right after that. Who's in the Nationals organization? Obviously, he said, "Keep them coming. Congrats to my brothers." So got to see a lot of LSU baseball love on both day 1s and day 2 of the Major League Baseball draft, and I imagine more to come off the board. I don't know if we announced yesterday, and I'm sure everybody's up to date on it, but Grant Taylor was selected with the 51st selection in the 2nd round.
You never even got to see him.
For the White Sox, which is wild, right? I mean, you never got to see him a part of the staff, and you win the national championship, and you've already got a couple of big leaguers on it, and Ty Floyd and Paul Skeens, and you look at what Grant Taylor could have been on LSU staff, and at times when you really were missing that confident arm in the middle of the pen or wherever they were going to use him, was pretty incredible to see.
The story that is, I think, the story within the story of the Major League Baseball draft, Jordan Thompson has not been selected yet. There's a chance he could come back. I mean, at this point, I know you burn like everything that goes into the draft is you want to have that 1 year when you're a junior to be like, hey, I can go back. Then when you're a senior, you don't get the same amount of slotted money because you lose your
negotiation.
Yeah, exactly. But at this point, I mean, if he comes back, and we were talking about it last night a little bit, what staff would he trust more than, okay, I can sign, unless he gets signed like over-slotted like a ton.
Yeah.
Then he could go to but if you're him, why would you not come back to LSU with a trained eye that knows you? You work every day. You know how the process works. Come back, and you can be if you get first-round money, you get first-round money. That changes the conversation entirely. But why go somewhere where you don't even know what they think about you? At this point, you're getting kind of lost in the wash. You don't get to – it's not like you're UDFA where you get to pick where you want to go. But he could pick where he wants to go, and that would be LSU, where you get to work with Jay Johnson again, the staff again, play shortstop, be the 5-hole hitter, and change kind of the draft comparison. Because as much as happened for Dugas in the College World Series, and seeing that, or Ty Floyd is a probably better example, where you have 17 strikeouts get drafted in the supplemental round, go first in the first round. I would imagine a lot of what happened with Jordan Thompson in the College World Series is probably catching up to him now, where he was just in a slump at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And so you can come back to LSU and write all those, whatever narrative is around you and be a player.
Have you been able to keep up with the recruits on who's been drafted or not?
Yeah, they lost the 8th overall pick was signed with LSU, but he was a catcher that was probably never going to come to LSU. Other than that, I think they've got 2 pitchers that took their names out of the draft and decided to sign with LSU. So it's going in a positive direction, I would say.
Cam Johnson was the big one, huh?
Yeah, and he's still not signed. So Cam Johnson is yet to be drafted. He's a big lefty that throws
they got some lefties, man.
He loves left-handed pitchers.
I mean, it's now kind of like they need to get righties, right?
I don't. I think you always got righties,
Yeah.
But was the narrative.
Everybody's I love it.
Yeah, that was the narrative around LSU, though. Paul couldn't get
Yeah.
any left-handed pitchers.
Right.
And then Jay came in, he's like, I got Coop, who's lefty. Then he brings in then Nate. Coop was the only lefty they had.
I know.
It's like, let that man go. All right, at least it's a left-handed arm. And then you got Griffin Herring, Nate Ackenhausen. He is loaded up on lefties because he loves to do the matchup.
Yeah, right.
He'll pull you after one pitch.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, you didn't get the job done. Next guy up. So it's
He did that to Money in
Yeah.
Omaha with the Herring. Yeah. Speaking of baseball,
God.
the report of the story came out on Brad Bohannon and Alabama. I mean, this is a USA television
It's
show.
a 30 for 30.
I mean, it's like a grimy late night
It's a Hallmark.
FX Hallmark.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it is amazing. This is unreal.
What am I watching? Law and Order SVU.
I mean, this would be. You read this story and you're like, oh my God, this was set up to get busted from the start. I mean, if you have not been caught up on this story. I know that it's got LSU in it, which I love. I just love LSU's position in it. I mean, it's a great spot. It's Skeens, right, for sure. But Brad Bohannon, who was he was fired a while ago, was obviously caught in a gambling ring, and the story came out of the gambling scandal, and it is something that really legitimately it's made for television. I mean, it's one of the we were talking about Pat Fitzgerald ultimately losing his job for being ignorant, really. I mean, almost stupidity. This story with Bohannon takes that and just laps it. I mean, what was going on here? They were destined to get caught. I mean, there was no way they were not going to get caught. So back on April 28th,
dude, the details are so bad.
This is the Friday
how
game.
you get caught.com.
This is Friday of the LSU Alabama series.
Late scratch.
And there's a late scratch, as we all remember, to Alabama's starting pitcher Luke Holman, which if you recall, Bohannon said he had back tightness, and so Bohannon digs in his bullpen and decides to go with Hagen Banks, who hadn't at that time started a game since mid-March. So Bohannon is texting on a encrypted app. Signal is the app, and he's texting with this guy named Bert Neff Jr., who walks into the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati on the afternoon of April 28th, walks up to the window at the BetMGM Sportsbook with $100,000 and says to the window that he's got inside information and has to make a bet. So, at this time, the window, alerts, upstairs, the eye in the sky. I mean, they're I'm sure there's a button for this, and they're like, I got suspicious here at window 3.
Not even suspicious. He outright admitted, I have inside information. Why would you take his bet?
Right.
This is the worst way to get a bet done.
Stupid, right? He's claiming they have to take his bet because he's got inside information, which at a casino is you moron. You might as well get on a plane and say you have a bomb.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing? And so the window is able to, kids at home, if you ever think about being shady in a casino, I would really I'd give that a second chance. I'd give that a second thought. The camera zooms in on Neff's on his phone and sees and picks up the name on the app that he is texting and sees Brad Bohannon's name through the camera that they are watching in the casino with. And that is how Bohannon was ultimately caught and now a part of an ongoing investigation right now to just how deep it was. But you got to imagine if they were communicating that liberally and with those types of facts, this is 30 minutes, 20 minutes before game time. So, I mean, this is Bohannon, he's sitting in the dugout.
On signal.
Texting Bert Neff Jr. at the window. Well, Neff is claiming he's got inside info to the LSU Alabama game, a game that has not been touched in Cincinnati. This is a game with just crickets and
and nobody, he wants to put down 6 figures on it.
Nobody's paying attention to the game. Nobody's playing it. Nobody's placed a bet on it. Nobody's even asked about it. And this cat walks up about 15 minutes before first pitch, sweating, saying, I got inside info, and here's $100K on LSU. I mean, Bohannon.
What are we doing?
What's going on, man?
What do you think that Neff told Bohannon?
Oh, my God.
What, he's like, I'm going to get this bet in. And he was like, okay. don't tell him you have, clearly don't rat me out. He's like, you don't go to the window, first of all, on a game that has never been wagered on in this city, and then go, I have inside information, please take my 6-figure bet. Like, no. I mean, that's one way, that's the only way to go to the upper room in the casino and get casinoed, where you get tied up and beat up. Like, what are you doing?
There's a man in here trying to place a 100K bet on
Yeah,
Alabama
exactly.
baseball.
Like, okay.
What should I tell him?
Okay.
Okay.
1 second.
All right.
1 second. Pit boss is coming.
Sir, hold for us, please.
Yeah.
Stay right there.
And he thinks that they're actually like, oh, this means they're going to take my
they're
bet.
about to show some love in here.
Yeah, and then let me
They're taking the bet.
Let me hop with Bohannon like that. They're going to take the 6-figure bet. What'd you tell him? Oh, I told him that you told me that you're scratching your starter and that Skeens is going. Like, don't say that. I'm gonna lose my job. Now we all are out of money.
I mean,
It's an unbelievable way to do that. Like, it's you would an 18-year-old wouldn't do that.
no.
A 21-year-old wouldn't do that.
No,
A grown man goes to the window and says, "I have inside information."
It's one of the most unbelievable stories when you read it out loud that is happening. It also makes you think, like, and I mean, I hate to be a conspiratist, but I mean, like, how much is this stuff happening if it's so blatant like this? Like, I mean, just
This feels like a one-off.
I would
hope.
So. I mean, I would hope so, and I would think that it wouldn't be this just dumb. I mean, like you sent. I mean, you sent your.
Yeah, I mean,
You sent Neff. Who's Neff? I mean, like.
you triple SA coach.
I mean, Bert. Bert. What are you doing? I mean, going to Cincinnati to bet on an LSU Alabama game 20 minutes before the first pitch with $100,000. Video cameras can see the text conversation back and forth. A source familiar with the incident says it could not have been any more reckless. The inside information that Neff had received, Alabama was scratching its ace, starting pitcher for the game, Holman, due to back tightness. He was being replaced by Hagan Banks, who hadn't started since March. Bohannon was not an unwitting pawn, the source says. The Crimson Tide coach was aware that Neff was placing the bet on LSU and against his team, they say. It's unclear whether Bohannon himself was wagering on the game, but Bohannon knew what was transpiring. Man, I mean, he's not he's not like sending this cat information and knowing what's going on without telling this guy to pepper him some cash
Yeah, I mean, just draw the line.
on the Tigers. I mean, like, what is he, just like turn it into a good guy now?
Yeah, just I thought I'd throw you a bone. A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Hey, Bird, I know we're 20 minutes before first pitch, but I had to get in touch with you, bro.
Love you.
Had to talk to you real quick.
Yeah.
Get your advice on something.
The best is the way that they frame Bert. It's so rude. Like, fueled by hubris and perhaps desperation, Neff, an obscure youth league coach from Mooresville, Indiana. It's like, you dumb fuck. Like, you couldn't even give him a real title. Like, he's not a person. Like, obscure youth league coach. Like, but hey, I got Bohannon's line over here. Like, we're good.
I mean,
He was trying to change his life.
oh yeah, 100,000.
Like, we don't make those bets on this game. Well, you have to, because I know something that
I
you
got
don't.
inside information. You got to take it.
Can you please
Well,
say-
now y'all are all going to jail, but
Thank you, Bert.
we're
If you're Bert, you
gonna
just
keep that cash too.
I mean, I understand that he didn't have a lot of time, but you go around and you go to different books around the area. You don't go to one and go 100,000. You go 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, and that's how you don't get caught. Also, you don't text the head coach of Alabama baseball because the eye in the sky don't lie. I mean, that's also terrifying that they have cameras that good.
I mean,
that can read your text.
Things that they've read in that camera.
you think
God,
you're just walking around a casino?
No.
no.
I mean, like, they're reading your text messages, cuz.
Yeah, you think you're doing some cool hand signals playing 21?
Yeah, right, like kind of a,
Step into that room,
yeah,
please,
like,
for me.
Yeah.
go get the guy in the blue hat,
Yeah, he's done.
tackle that guy if you don't mind.
How much is he up?
Yeah, right.
Who else is up?
I mean,
Who's sitting behind him?
Give him a little-
That's terrible. I mean,
Bama, man.
thank God I'm not smart,
Seriously.
Yeah, because that would be a great way.
I don't care that much.
No.
Like, I don't care that much. You know what? I'd rather just work hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not worth it.
I'll just get up and go to work. Just screw it, man. I'm not. I mean, if you're Bohannon,
That's dealing
like
cocaine in
Bohannon,
Colombia.
I mean, their team went to the Super. I mean, like, you had a super regional team, man.
And like before,
and you had a good job.
Like,
before
what
the
are you
season, they were like an
doing?
Omaha team. Like,
I mean,
people
you're on
were
the
talking
campus
about
with
them.
Saban. You ain't got to win. Nobody cares about baseball.
You literally just don't have to gamble.
Like, if you do win, it's like land yap. You
Yeah.
get a raise.
Baseball team's doing good.
You know, like, I mean, we got nothing to do in June. You want to watch a game play? You know, like,
Get to shake Nick's hand at
I
the
mean,
hey, good year.
he won't coach a youth. He won't coach a high school team.
I'd be able to coach like travel ball or something.
Maybe,
You triple
but
SC.
it's not paying
With
$400K.
Vert might get him a job.
It might. I mean, it's not paying $400K.
No, it ain't.
I mean, Bohannon had a gig, man.
But
Man.
Bohannon is
Could've just hung out.
Skeens
got his
Skeens
ass.
beat everybody, bro.
First overall pick.
Skeens beat them all, man.
Beating coaches, beating teams.
Took that man's job.
Didn't beat
Hey,
Arkansas.
Bohannon, let me get that job too.
Oh
if you
yeah,
don't
didn't beat
mind.
Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas.
Bohannon does look like central casting for this though.
Oh, it's
Like his picture is like he looks a little grimy.
It's a Lifetime movie.
It really should
it
be.
is
and I wouldn't even like it.
Starts at 11 p.m.
Yeah, I'd be like, this
You know
is
what I mean?
trash.
Like, this is disgusting.
Movie stinks. No, it's real life, based on a true story.
That LSU pitcher looks good though.
The scheme's 6'7". Back tightness.
Skeens. Oh, that's great. All right, we'll be back. Hour 2, Jordy Culotta Show, RMB Builders.
What a weird time in sports.
Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier, Kyron Lacey, Greg Brooks.
Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team, make a difference. Bet, let's get it done.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
Welcome back. Second hour here. Jordy Culotta Show is always built by RMB Builders. RMB-Builders.com. RMB-Builders.com is where you can get them. As always on Instagram too. RMB Builders. Appreciate everybody for being here. Make sure and hit that like button, that share button, that comment button as we are here with you daily. And if you don't mind, hit that subscription. If you have not subscribed, we told you we were watching some of the analytics the other day, and a lot of people are here and taking in a lot of the content. We love that. We appreciate that. But we see a lot of you that come through and are watching are not subscribers. If you don't mind, just hit that subscription button if you want to keep up with what we got going on. And if you want to be notified when we go live, you can simply just hit that bell, Bing. And it'll alert you each time that we go live with some content. We appreciate you being there as always. Quick moving first hour for you as we talked a little bit about SEC Media Days. LSU going to send over 3 great representatives to join Brian Kelly next week in Nashville. Jaden Daniels, the starting quarterback, which I love. I love teams that send quarterbacks. To me, I think it's a great statement. You've got your guy. He's the signal caller. He's the perceived leader of the offense. There's no real quarterback controversy going into camp. But I do believe that Garrett Nussmeier will be a huge storyline of Nashville, of Media Day, which, I think goes into LSU having some real championship-worthy quarterbacks. Joining him will be Josh Williams. Williams out of Houston, has really grown into Mr. Reliable. We've talked to Frank Wilson about Josh Williams a couple of times on and off the record, and I will tell you that Frank Wilson is just he exudes confidence when he talks about Josh Williams. He's a coach's dream, right? I mean, he's somebody that he blocks, he doesn't fumble, he runs physical, he takes on coaching, he's humble, he's he's just one of those guys. I mean, he's everything that you've asked him to do. Not only can he do it, he excels at it. So I think Josh Williams heading over to Media Day is a great, a great guy to represent LSU. And then Mekhi Wingo, obviously, Wingo, who we've talked to a couple of times on this show, is as impressive of any interview that we've ever done. And I mean that sincerely. I mean, he is well thought out and well spoken of a young person that we've ever had the opportunity to speak with. So I think those three guys representing LSU in Nashville come Monday will only be high marks for the Tigers. You see that media all over the SEC network. You'll probably see Jaden Daniels, some on SportsCenter. It'll be LSU featured with alongside Brian Kelly, who obviously he's done this countless amounts of times, but these three guys kind of stepping into the spotlight. Or this type of spotlight for the first time, I think is a great selection. I thought they would either send I thought Daniels and Wingo were going to go, and I wish we would have talked a little bit about this yesterday or leading up to it of putting out there. I thought they would have sent Emory Jones in place of Josh Williams. And to be honest, and I'm sorry for admitting this, I didn't have Williams up there. I kind of almost – with him not going through spring and being injured, and I almost
out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, really. So when I saw that he was going, I was like, oh, that's easy. I mean, that's an easy selection. And then you give the youngsters like Jones and even a guy like Will Campbell, who I think would be a great representative. Another year to kind of shine their skills on communication with the media and their relationship. And look, I've been to SEC Media Days a lot, and it can be a lot for the subjects. They're very much coached up on this. They know what they're stepping into. They know that it's a 2-hour car wash of digital media, television, radio, print. It's .com. I mean, it's all types of media that you interact with. So, they understand what they're getting into, but it's still a little overwhelming.
A whole lot of elbow grabbing.
It's still, a lot of bright lights, a lot of people telling you to look over here, a lot of people asking you the same question, time after time after time. I'd imagine that, someone like Jaden Daniels is gearing up for the quarterback competition story, or, just having Nussmeier there in the room with him. He'll have a pretty standard answer. I'm sure he'll deviate from it and, go in depth on some things, but for the most part, you're going to get a company line from Daniels. And, Michael Bonnet and his team do a great job of getting these guys prepared for something like this. And, at the end of it, you're kind of rewarded with a spotlight of your program, a highlight of your program. It's a great tool to put out and recruit with and show, players that are coming through the pipeline of opportunities that they, I would imagine that people like Emory Jones and Will Campbell were shown clips of SEC Media Days saying, fellas, this is your spot 3 years from now. And, I think that motivates guys like that. So Monday's fun, really. I think you'll learn a little bit about LSU too.
And for Jaden, what a vote of confidence, right? Yeah. I feel like that's probably more of what it is. Also, is like, hey, you're the guy. They've been saying it pretty much all offseason that he was the starter, right? Like and it's a great position for LSU to have to be in, to have to clarify that. Look, we got two great guys, but Jaden, you're the guy, and you haven't seen a quarterback go since Burrow.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'll have the same impact that Burrow probably had at Media Days or the Manning camp whenever he was like, we're going to put 60 up. Burrow that was kind of like the Tiger Woods, like, hello world, where it's like, oh shit, LSU has a quarterback that thinks like LSU offense hasn't done that ever. And then for him to go in there and be like, look, we're better than y'all think. It's not me. The offense is good. And so for a quarterback to go to SEC Media Days for LSU is a great sign, I'd imagine, where they feel like they are in the quarterback room. Because name another school that's going to send a quarterback in the SEC.
It's a good question. It's a really good question.
Tennessee, maybe?
Maybe send Joe Milton.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where the SEC is right now. That's where a lot of people are picking LSU to win the West or to win the SEC. Obviously, you have Georgia on the other side, but you don't know what is it Carson Beck? You're not going to send him to media day.
You're not sending the first-year guy.
Right. That's what I'm saying. LSU's in a great spot, at least from the optics of it all.
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah. Well, and I think we said that coming out of spring. I mean, we watched a lot of the, spring football was all over television, whether it was the SEC Network, whether it was ESPN. The only other quarterback room I thought that was as competitive as LSU's was Texas. And that's without Arch, really. Texas's backup, is it Malik?
Oh, he shined. Oh, my God.
Whew. He's a player, man. And I think Quinn Ewers is a starter. I think he's a stud. I think he's a legitimate quarterback that you got Malik Murphy. I mean, he is a player. Size, speed, can throw it, confident. I mean, I'd love to know the NIL deal he got hit with day after the spring game, because if Saban's signing the Notre Dame quarterback who is just can't play himself out of a paper bag, and there are reports that he was coming after Nussmeier. I mean, it's no coincidence that Nussmeier signed a Gordon McKernan deal about 2 days after spring football.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what Malik Morgan signed for over in Austin, because his phone had to be blowing up. Because outside of LSU, I thought Texas had the most competitive room, and that's without Arch, really. I mean, I don't expect Arch to have really any input on this season. So, there's only a couple of rooms in the country that have solid quarterback. It's going to be somebody coming out of the darkness, right? Like usual. I mean, there's going to be somebody that kind of pops that you hadn't heard of. I mean,
you have KJ Jefferson for Arkansas. That would probably be one, which is shout out John Quave from the chat. That's a good pick. And Spencer Rattler, but you're not putting Spencer Rattler in front of a microphone. That dude's a loose cannon.
I agree with you.
You just don't want that to be the face of your program, really.
Yeah.
You're trying to put him in the corner. Like, I get that you're the starter, but you can't trust him, and that's not what Beamer wants, I would imagine.
No, I'm with you. It's just dangerous.
It's just because he is dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the risk. I don't know if the risk is worth the reward.
It's not worth it at all. Like, you're the starter, that's fine.
Right.
Put you back and, go play quarterback, please. He wants the microphone.
Yeah, he wants the moment. Another piece that I always look forward to the start of SEC Media Days is Greg Sankey addressing the room, right? Really kind of addressing – what's that?
South Carolina is sending Spencer Rattler.
Oh, no.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, look, and I was going to say that him and Beamer, you can tell
he's trying.
They have a really good relationship. And I think, one thing that Beamer has done for Rattler is he's really, trusted him. I think that people haven't really, trusted him to the degree. And look, he hasn't earned it, but I think at South Carolina, he's done some things to earn his coach's trust, and I think this is a reward of that. Really, I don't think that I think Beamer is he's
put a lot of stock in him, but he's good. I mean, you have to say that the flashes are there, right?
But I think I think Beamer's savvy.
Yeah,
I think he knows his team. I think he's a really good coach. I don't expect him to be at South Carolina too long. I think that a big job's going to pop for him at some point.
South Carolina could be a big job.
It could be, but I don't think that you can ultimately do what Frank Beamer can. He needs to take. Shane Beamer. He needs to take South Carolina to. He needs to get him up in the East. He needs to potentially compete for the East. I thought last year he was.
That's as good as you can do there.
That's.
I mean, Steve Spurrier set that's the litmus test of he went in there on his back end and was pretty successful at South Carolina, where you had him winning 10 games a year, got Jadeveon Clowney, right? And then he had them kind of on the map. Shane Beamer could do that same thing, but it is essentially a stepping stone job, right?
Yeah.
Where
I think, I mean, especially with the way that it's changing now, maybe he believes he can be in the top 12 every year. But I think that there are other places.
The East is so wide open.
I would think if I'm Dabo,
that's the first person I thought of.
You slip one more year.
Shane's right above
And
you.
I believe South Carolina and Clemson play, or South Carolina and North Carolina in the opening game of the. I think outside of LSU and Florida State, South Carolina and North Carolina has my attention more than just about any other game of the opening weekend.
Drake
right?
May.
I mean, yeah, you think Drake May, first off, who could be the best quarterback in college football this year. And Beamer.
Rattler,
South Carolina.
That's a great matchup.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the second best game.
It has to be, right? I mean, there's nothing really
2nd.
on the opening weekend.
I mean, Florida at Utah maybe might move the needle for some people, but not me.
Oh, definitely for Florida.
Tennessee, Virginia might be a decent game. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how good Virginia is.
Poor Florida. Billy Napier, they're on his ass already.
I know.
But the North Carolina South Carolina game is at South Carolina, 6:30 Sandstorm.
It's at South Carolina.
No, it's in Charlotte.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I think it's.
Oh, it says okay. My bad.
It's in Charlotte.
I was getting ready to say if they got a home game for that would be electric. But it makes sense. It would be a what do you call it? Neutral site game for those two teams, right on the border.
That is going to be a good game.
I mean, that's the one, huh?
Yeah, it is the one. I don't see anything else on here that would, unless you want to see Nebraska at Minnesota, 8 p.m. Fox, baby.
Who's our guy? Gus on the call?
Now there's a noon Fox, Colorado at TCU.
Oh, he's on that. He's on Colorado TCU, yeah.
Calling Deion's first game.
I mean, that might be the game that
prime time.
That might be the other game that everybody's on.
Yeah, no, I think I actually, from a rating standpoint,
it'll be electric.
That might be the game.
Yeah, it is.
That might be the one that really moves the needle. Just to see what Deion has done. I haven't heard a lot from Colorado's program. I mean, are they replacing these guys that have left?
I guess I don't know. I don't know how that.
I mean,
there was a lot of smoke and then not a lot of fire.
I mean, there's not been a lot of news coming out of Boulder of replacing these roster spots that are wide.
They might be in LSU position next season, like LSU when Brian Kelly came, 39 scholarship players and just.
They could be worse.
Yeah, no, I guess they just figure it out in the first year and then. Second recruiting class
Colorado
is important.
at TCU, 11 a.m. Get the day going.
Gus.
Touchdown.
Gus and grits.
Pride.
Gus and grits, baby.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
That's awesome. But I'm just going through the schedule. That's the game in the morning. That's an 11 a.m. college football.
LSU's
Gets
what,
you going.
6:30?
Yes.
Yeah.
6:30 Central.
Mm-hmm.
6:30 Central Sunday. That's the next day.
That's a great time.
That Sunday slot is LSU's living in that Sunday slot.
I mean, Northwestern will probably be a storyline at 11 a.m. versus Rutgers.
CBS, baby.
Then Oregon State, San Jose State, all leading up to literally LSU, Florida State. Those are the three games that day. And then
who's Oregon got?
Oregon State, San Jose State. That's what I'm saying. There's 2 nothing burgers, and then so it'll be all a feeding frenzy going into the LSU Florida State matchup, the rematch essentially. And then Monday, Clemson at Duke. Duke's not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
They have a good quarterback.
Not bad.
But I mean, it's Duke.
That's Texas A&M's old defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Is the head coach at Duke?
Is it Grinch? Is it
No, it's not Grinch. It's
I got his name on the tip of my tongue.
Mike Elko?
Yeah, Mike Elko.
Yeah. And
it was, the former defensive coordinator. And we know who it's not. Arch's guy. That used to be the Mannings.
Oh, he was the head coach at Duke.
Cutcliffe?
Yeah, Cutcliffe. You see Arch flexing?
Sankey had it, yeah.
He was with Malik Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
And Quinn.
Sankey had to hire Cutcliffe. He was like, I ain't playing this game.
No, yeah.
I'm not doing
Y'all
this.
in the SEC, yeah.
You know who made that call? Saban.
Yeah. Hey, get this guy out of here.
If Sarkisian can have him, nobody can have him. All right, one thing they got to watch out for, man. This is crazy. I mean, this video last night is some of the scariest video that is out there. Major League Baseball game last night. If you saw it, home run derby. Vlad Guerrero Jr. hit 72 bombs to win the home run derby.
Did he win it last year?
What's that?
Did he win it last year?
I think he was in the finals. It was, we were just talking about it.
Randy, what is it?
It was Pete Alonso versus Juan Soto. Juan Soto won.
Juan Soto.
Because Pete Alonso takes that thing. He is the home run derby. Like that.
Right,
he
that's his deal. That's his deal.
He is the Joey Chestnut of
That's
the home
his
run
deal.
derby. He wants it to be such a thing for him, and he gets ousted twice by somebody that hit 41 home runs yesterday.
Julio Rodriguez was the hometown favorite last night as the game is being played in Seattle. He hit 41 opening round home runs. He was the 2 seed taking on Alonso. Alonso banged out 21 and just couldn't keep up, man. I mean, just
can't throw it fast
enough. Just
enough.
couldn't keep up. In the finals, Vlad Guerrero hit 25 home runs, defeating I'm not even going there. I don't even know the guy's name. Randy Arizano?
Arizarano.
Was it Arizarano?
Yeah.
So Vlad Guerrero wins the home run derby last night.
Not even going there.
While doing this, he nearly decapitates a kid. And I don't know if anybody has seen this, and I'm really not trying to make light of this. I'm not trying to. Good Lord, man. I mean, I have a son that is probably in the age demographic that could be out there, and if they asked me if my son could do this, I would say absolutely not.
When they cut
this
the
is
camera,
115 miles an hour off of Vlad's bat.
Wait, he's still laying
going
on the ground.
But for 7 to 8 seconds, they hit another one.
Oh my God! Look at the shot. Watch the ball bounce off this kid's face. I mean, like,
he should have got extra points for the ball bouncing off his face.
Who is in the Major League Baseball boardroom saying that this is a good idea?
It might be T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
It might be T-Mobile.
Well, then whoever's in T-Mobile's boardroom has got. I mean, like, there has got to be a meeting right now saying, like, we're in it. I mean,
Tom Rinaldi story.
We killed somebody last night. This kid is motionless. I mean, at worst, he's cracked his eyeball out of his head, right?
The second cut.
It's so funny.
Because he's just laying there.
He's
Like,
just
he
dead.
didn't even. Is he alive?
Yeah, that's a T-Mobile cricket commercial.
That's like, check his pulse.
It's the Make-A-Wish Foundation now.
I mean, dude.
Go fund me.
Legitimately, I need to know what happened to this kid.
Me too.
Like,
I'm
there's
concerned.
no way he
He's
is okay. Coach, that's 115 miles an hour coming off of a big leaguer's bat.
Well, look
and
how-
you standing in front of it without any protection. Nothing hits that thing before it hits his face.
No.
Like, nothing.
And look how fast it comes off his skull to the corner.
That's what dude, it doesn't hit the ground until another 3 seconds. I mean, like, it's
dangerous.
It is.
But this has been a long time coming, right?
It's had to have happened at this point, right? Like, nothing this severe.
No producer works harder than the home run derby producer of
you
cutting
gotta-
away from murder, essentially. Because I was researching this last night, and there's one from 2019, I believe, of Pete Alonso where he decapitates a kid, and they just cut away from it. You know, like, you're just trying to avoid basically, like, IEDs out there where people are just stepping on live grenades because those balls are being hit so hard and they're too young. And this is just a long time coming. I mean, what do you
Josh
think
Pearson couldn't see pop-ups in Omaha.
You have 10-year-olds out
like, what do
there
you
with
want a
Major League
10-year-old to
Baseball
do with
players.
Pete Alonso's shot?
It's basically stepping into the batter's box with Nolan Ryan. Like, what do you think is going to happen? There's nothing good that could come of this. Like, were you vetting these kids? Do you think they're athletes?
No, they're not. They're just telling
They're
them,
just
you
like,
want in?
Yeah. My dad works for T-Mobile. And it's like, do you have a glove? Like, no.
You don't need one.
Yeah.
Use your face, kid.
I mean, do you think that this is going to be a cause for change?
It has to. I mean, like, it has to be.
They have
right?
to have somebody out there. I mean, do you?
Unless you just sign your life away. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they might have to sign like
you
a
just like
a
sign your
waiver.
life away. Like, I mean, You know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
You can,
yeah, when they do stuff like that, they have to sign a waiver. Learn that in sport admin class.
D. Jacobson, shout out.
Actually, it was ethics.
Should have known better.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
Oh, damn.
But, I mean, this is essentially signing up for the Titanic trip. Like, something's going to go bad.
Yes. There's nothing that can go good. Do I get to keep the ball if I catch it? No, you have to throw it back
Throw
in.
it back
No,
and hustle.
I'm out, man. I mean,
Yeah,
like, what do you mean?
I'm
There's
not
no
coming.
perk? I mean, well, the downside is you could lose your eyeball. You know what I mean? Like,
You could get seriously injured doing
yeah, I
this.
mean, you know.
But you can't
Your whole
keep
life could
anything.
change.
Do you think that they don't know until they get out there where they're like, holy shit, this finger's coming in hot. Like a Major League Baseball player hitting
You got no
baseballs
idea.
is harder than
We have
no
no
idea.
idea.
We don't have an idea, but we have an idea. Like, we would go out there like, okay.
Yeah, but like
we
you
know,
step in front of it.
I'm not. Sorry, I'll let it
Like when I saw the Skeens umpire vision,
I was out.
I want no part of that batting box. I want no part of that.
That's
Like,
102. This was 118.
Yeah, but or the Trey Morgan when he swung and like fell. That was at his face.
Then those are athletes. Big time athletes.
I mean,
Professional
even
baseball
that ball
players.
that hit Beloso
In the hand.
on the
meat.
I mean, that is
Hit him and bounced off his chest.
brutal.
Ugh.
But I'm telling you, those kids are probably like, this is awesome. And then you get the first swing, the crack of the bat. You're like, I don't want to be out here at
my
all.
God.
I'm
All
going,
you hear
I'm
is-
going to right field.
Wait, that could happen to me?
Yeah, there's a bunch of kids out in center that are like, I'm not getting the ball.
No
Like,
doubt.
I'm running.
Yeah.
This is Normandy.
Righty's up. I'm going over there.
Yeah, somebody hit one oppo.
All you hear is
Dude, that,
coming at you like, oh, shit.
have you ever seen like a Major League even pop up?
Oh,
Yes.
man.
It is
They
in the
go-
air forever.
They go in there for like.
It's everything in the professional level is so different. I mean, like people that don't understand it or do not respect it have no idea how much more elite they are at their trade than all of us. Oh, whether it's a golfer, did you get a picture of the kid?
Yes. I'm sending it to you, Stuart. You would have sent it to the mic'd up.
Yes.
Has he got a grapefruit?
I'm about to show you. Yeah. Shout out Stephen Miller. Thank you for
He
sending that.
probably
Oh
has
my
like
god.
the TV show.
It's not as bad as I thought it would be.
He can't, I mean, he can't open his eye.
Coach, I thought he lost his eyeball.
He still might. Oh. Oh, it could have been worse.
I agree.
He could glancing blow.
I mean, you still love baseball, kid?
It's the Sandlot. Put a steak on it.
I mean,
Cold steak.
Cold steak. Bag of peas.
yeah, for a week.
Can of corn.
He took an absolute
That was a
missile
rocket.
off the eye.
I mean, that's a rocket.
You'll learn a lot that day.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
you'll
not.
find out. You'll find out if you love baseball or not,
I was about to say, he'll go to his
or even sports.
13, yeah. Like,
You know, like I mean,
Dad, I don't think I want to play sports anymore.
right?
oh, it's
I
your
mean,
first day of like
the
when
first time you got drilled in
Oh.
the open field.
I was about to say
The
that.
first time you got hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
You know, like hit by like a legit pitch, not somebody that was like lobbing it up, like somebody that was throwing heat for your age. Like the first time you get sports
will humble you.
Like sports finds you.
It's like your first time going across the middle, you know? You find out if
That's
you
right.
You find out when you find out.
You tiptoe out there. You think I'm supposed to be here.
I
You
think I love this.
Right. Like I deserve this.
Next thing you know,
I mean, like,
I think I'm about to die, coach.
I mean, even Joe Burrow got his head cracked against Auburn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Against Vandy.
It'll find everybody. It's gonna find everybody. That's the one thing about sports.
You can't hide.
You cannot hide, my man. Here, I mean,
even the other eye's swollen.
Yeah, I mean, that thing's
Coach,
good.
for real. Like
That's day one. It's going to get so much worse.
How perfect of a
Shiner.
just shot that is. Like 2 inches up, he hits him right in the
temple.
brain.
Yeah. There's a head in his skull, a hole in his skull.
How many beers?
Look at that.
They might have put a cold beer
How
on
old
it.
is that kid? Do we know?
I mean, probably 10, 11.
Yeah,
but that's what
it's-
you're talking about. Like, how many people do you remember whenever you started playing, like when it goes to live arm?
No doubt.
And then people don't show up the next
Oh,
day.
man.
Like,
Or-
you're scared
or
of
how
the
many-
ball.
Or how many people quit the day after you put full pads on?
Oh my God.
Or not just quit, just go hide.
Yeah.
You know?
Bull in the ring.
Where you're like, oh,
You're doing Oklahoma.
You're,
Why you?
You're a great flag player.
Yeah, you were great. You were great when wearing shorts. Got these pads on now.
Yeah, about to find out who's real.
Right. I mean, that's you can't hide. You know, I mean, like you just at some point.
Oh,
you're gonna
freshman
have to play.
year.
Yeah, you just brought back bad memories.
The freshman year is brutal.
Yes,
because they want to end you.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the biology 101 class.
Yeah.
You know, they want to weed you out. You know, like let's find out for real who wants to be here.
I mean, our coach would like
put seniors on freshmen,
like purposely like put us on scout team and like make the quarterback lob it up in the middle of the field just to like see.
Safety
I don't know
coming
if you
downhill.
can do that stuff anymore.
Oh no.
Oh, it still happens, even if it's not purposeful. But like you're gonna get cracked.
Oh, no doubt. No. You can't. You
cannot run from the contact.
You can't get away from it. But the practice of it is. I mean, I'm not trying to say we were hard asses. We were back. It was legal back then. I mean, we ran bull in the ring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like straight up. I mean, like you'd get in a ring.
45.
They'd call your name. You went in there. You had your head on the swivel, and it was coming from. You didn't know where it was coming from.
Coming from behind.
And like you turn around and you got the middle linebacker a step away from you, running with the crown of his helmet at your chin strap. You know what I mean? Like
Cody Stevens looking like a Clydesdale.
I mean, like
kid spatted up at practice as a senior. And you're like, oh fuck,
Jesus Christ, exactly.
Cowboy collar. Like,
right.
What did I do to you?
Make one joke about a girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like,
Jesus.
I didn't mean it, dude. For God's sakes.
Think you're funny, huh?
Yeah.
Funny how?
Yeah.
Now you can't breathe.
But then you come back the next day, like, all right.
Yeah, I know what this is.
Trev Falk. You know, Trev Falk decapitated me. I mean, I remember laying on the ground thinking,
I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Should I get up?
Do I?
Can I breathe?
Do I really want to? I don't know if I mean.
It was fun till it wasn't.
Yeah, that was a pro. I mean, like, I'm not good like that. I'm not good like I thought I was.
I thought I had the cutback lane right there.
No, let me hit him with a spin move. No, you're not.
Helmet that way, body that way.
Looking through the back of the helmet.
I mean, like face on the grass. Got grass in my teeth.
I just looked through my ear hole.
Yeah.
I mean, like.
Dad, do you love me?
Yeah.
You proud of me?
Are you good? I don't know. I don't think so.
It's always funny, like the coach, like your coach, he'll like you'll come to the sideline. He's like, "You all right?" You're like.
Yeah, you can see it in your eye. You can see it in their eyes.
Like, I'm not okay.
After being a coach, like I remember the moments where I was like, "Oh, I must have looked like I was
ass."
Like just get me out of the game, quick, hurry up."
You
can see it. Kids can't hide it.
No,
you can't hide it.
Well, no, it's a concussion,
and really, it's
your eyes are just glazed, and you're like, I think I'm
competition scares the hell out of people.
Yeah,
really. I mean, for the most part, people are scared to compete, and when competition becomes competition, you find out real quick who's real.
Yeah.
Who's real. I mean, like, and I'm not talking about competing against the teams that you beat by 15 and 20 every time. I'm talking about when you get into it and it's
dog fight.
Play for play. It's LSU Wake Forest when Skeens and Louder went at each other that night, where every single play matters. Trey Morgan, if you don't make that play on the bunt, you lose. It's an eyelash. Mm-hmm. It's an eyelash. You make one misstep, Josh Pearson, on that fly ball. You go up rather than back first. It's over. LSU don't win a national championship. I mean, like when you start competing at that level, where every single play, every single moment of the play matters. That's what it's about.
That's when it gets real.
That's what it's about.
John in the chat, I never forget the first time I got rocked. I was on kick return versus St. Charles Catholic. Freshman, learned the hard way. That's when you get peeled back on. Frankie Jackson got me, coach.
Yeah, I mean,
he goes, "Be careful," and I was like, "That's not what I want to hear going on the football field."
Come on, bro.
I told Lil J,
it's real.
It's coming.
It is.
It's coming.
Everybody gets got.
It's coming. I'm telling you. It's gonna happen.
I'm gonna get mine when I get
and
got.
Like sometimes he's like, "What? Did I get mine?" Yeah, you get popped. And I'm like, well, I don't know. If you're asking, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably
you get
not.
Me? Like, yeah.
Probably not.
But you up.
Like, but he's gotten popped before. But like, you'll know it.
High school's coming.
You'll know it.
Coach,
like, it's gonna make you. I said, Jordan, like really, like you love it. Oh, I love it. I love it. Like you really love it. Yo, I really love it. I really love it. it's going to make you question in that moment how much you love it. Like, that's how you know you get checked in sports. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, it's just like getting checked in life.
And then, like, even before you get hit, like, the workouts, it's like,
exactly.
Do I really like this? Do I really want to keep going?
Exactly.
We're going to sprint 15, and we got 15 more.
I'm going to throw up.
Right.
But I'm going to keep going. Yeah.
Like,
it does weed you out, man. It's the best thing you
life.
can do. Yeah,
and
it really is.
In the way that, and I don't mean, and not believe me, you're not coming here for philosophy at all. But with the way that society is trending, it's really the last standing real thing that's out there. Mm-hmm. Where you can get into a locker room and it's black, brown, white, it's underprivileged, it's overprivileged, it's socioeconomic levels that are all over the board, it's all type of backgrounds, it's all type of parenting issues, it's single parents, it's married parents, it's step parents, it's deceased parents, it's everything that the world can offer is combined in four walls where they got to figure it out. Or if you don't, you lose. And if we're here, what are we here for? We're here to compete and win. Okay, well then we all got to get on the same page. And that doesn't mean that we all have to get on the same page about the practice schedule, like we're all going to be on time. It means like we all got to like know each other. Yeah. And, we're not all going to
hang out,
love each other and hang out. And some of us may not even like each other, but at the end of the day, we're all going towards the same direction. And if one says, nah, I'm out, then it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And that's why I encourage not just to play sports, play them all. Play all of them. Get in every locker room. Be coached by all of them, the good, the bads, the uglies. Because it's all an experience that you can carry over and take into the boardroom, into the sales room, into your production room, into wherever you are, man. I'm not here to tell you like it is. Just to me, it's the last true remaining real spot in the world, in our country, where you can really go in there and, hey, man, what's up with this? I'm curious about your background. I'm not coming at you. I'm not racist. I'm not sexist. I don't know. Tell me. In a locker room, that's where I figured all that out when I was growing up. I didn't know anything about that when we were at slumber parties. I shared a sleeping bag with a black kid. I didn't know any of that stuff. I mean, it was because of the locker room. It was because we played on the same team. It was because we were pulling in the same direction. I mean, it was because we were all on the same page. It's sports. It's
the great unifier.
That's what sports is. It's still, to this day, can bring everybody together and bring the kid out in you. Like bring the ground level joy that you have in anything.
Life. I mean, you saw it. That's why I think the LSU baseball team was one of the great signifiers of what sports could be, because they were having so much fun while doing it, whether it be the Milazzo and Skeens thing or Beloso drinking water and it hits Dugas in the eye. And, you can see, they're just palling around.
Fun.
They're all friends with each other. And whether some are obviously better friends with others, but that's what sports looks like. That's what a championship team looks like. Whenever everybody's on the kind of the same page and Milazzo, hop on my back. What do we, it's it looked like the Little League World Series.
And you recognize great team.
When you see it.
Instant you see it. You know what a great team looks like. 2019 LSU beat people when they got off the bus. There was probably coaches that were looking at them across the way being like, we don't have a shot.
We shouldn't even be out here.
Look at the way they warm up.
LSU, Texas. I got my shirt off drinking your water.
Look at the way they go through their I keep referencing this, but the San Francisco 49ers with Bill Walsh, they beat you before the game started. They beat so many people before the game started because they were run at an elite level. People would look at them and be like, they're just first class. We're not. I mean,
And when you see
it, it's just like they would see it like, that's greatness. We got no shot today. We're not great. And the way that they would, control the locker room, the way all that stuff was was portrayed. You know, I mean, the way that you just have to coach through that stuff, and you teach people life lessons. There's no replacing a locker room. There's nowhere on earth that can replace what a locker room can teach you. And you still have to have people monitor the locker room. Northwestern would be a great representation of that. You still have to have people that are accountable and that are staying on task to make sure that the locker room doesn't begin to become an issue. But a well-controlled, kept locker room can be the nucleus to a championship. Where do player-only meetings take place? Where does pre- and post-game, where some of the moments that really bind teams together happen? It's, just sports, man. There's no replacing what sports can teach you.
And it's nothing like this time of year in the locker room, too.
Oh, it's the best.
Like, football locker room is
it's
on 10 right now.
It's nothing. It's. I mean, it's just a stand-up comedy stage and work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is.
Let's get it done.
We're either laughing or we're sweating.
Throwing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Throwing up.
Like, I mean, that's
about
the
to be
only
ass.
thing that's happening around here. Or sleeping.
Yeah.
Or fighting.
You know?
Or fighting.
Yeah, or fighting.
We might set up the fight club in the locker room.
But
today,
this is
boys.
this is when it happens.
This is when it gets
bond
real.
time.
This is when it happens. This is when you really and truly, for a lack of a better term, it's when you fall in love.
Yeah. It's when we're on the 21st gasser and somebody's lacking off, and you're like, bro, if you don't run hard, that fight club's opening up quick after this.
Mm-hmm. You ain't making me run again.
Like,
I'll carry your ass. We going. But that's what it is. It's the locker room whenever you get there. Like, there's jokes, and then there's the walk to practice where you're like.
And then after those moments,
hot.
really is when the locker room is its best, because you start to find out the pecking order of the locker room.
Of who's who.
When the dogs are out there performing and the ones who are vocal saying, hey, get your head up, run, sprint through the line. I'm not running because of you. Come on, let's go. Or I'm picking you up. Let's go. You start to figure out, like, who's the alpha? Who's the vocal? Who's the supporting cast? Who's the guys that just keep quiet and get their job done? Who's the Dylan Cruz? The guy that's just doing his sprints off to the side and kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah, winning every rep. Like,
you know what I
he's a
mean?
dude.
Quiet, just, hey, I might start hanging out with him. Like, what's your story? I'm just here to be a pro. And whatever they need me to do, I'm going to do. Oh, I like you. I'm going to start hanging out with you. Now you got that little Dylan Cruz cluster over there, right? Like, that would be like the Kobe cluster on the Redeem team, right? Where you wake up and we're coming in from the club, and this dude's going to the gym.
With his gloves on.
That happened on Monday. On Friday, the whole team was in the gym. You know what we just figured out? We know who the alpha in the locker room is.
You didn't have to say shit.
I mean, it's where it's figured out. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place.
It is.
You know what I mean? It could also be the place that costs you your job. If you're Pat Fitzgerald, if you don't have a pulse on it, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't have a good read on it, it could take over, right? And then you got stuff happening in there that you can't explain, or if you do explain, you're in more trouble.
That's why coaching matters.
I mean,
because you're in charge of all of that.
Absolutely, it's on your watch, right? Whether you didn't know it or you knew it, or you claim that the person you put in charge knew about it. You put that person in charge, and it's your locker room. You recruited those players. I mean, it's always going to come back to that desk, right? Which is why we talked about it at certain points. Some people are better assistant coaches than they are head coaches, right? And in this instance, Pat Fitzgerald really fumbled the PR on this. That all goes into the hiring process of this job, right? I mean, I know how much importance good and great coaches put into their media relations personnel. Because when stuff like this happens, they got to be on top of the communication. The message has to be clear and concise to where to me, Fitzgerald let this thing almost get so confusing and jumbled in the public that Northwestern had to move.
You know, I mean, it's on his watch who he hires to be the head of that department, and they've got to be in lockstep to make sure we're all aligned here. I mean, how many times have you heard the word alignment from LSU leadership? If they're saying it that much in public, how much do you think they're preaching that in private? And for all of us who have either covered or followed LSU athletics for now, you know, for me, has been 20 plus years, 25 plus years. This is as aligned and on the same page as I've ever seen the athletic department. That's not an accident. That's not a coincidence. Somebody is being blatant. Somebody is being very direct on how they operate this, and they're looking for something, and they have found a honey hole. I mean, like they found what it takes.
Scott Woodward seems to be the right guy for the job.
Tommy Reese, a candidate for the Northwestern job?
He's from up there.
I don't know. Can you hire somebody this year for that gig? Like, you almost have to move forward on an interim basis. But like I said, once you crack open the, you know, you pull it back. I mean,
I'd have to fire a lot of people.
Does it people in the interim know as much as Fitzgerald would?
They said the defensive coordinator is only 3 months on the job, but
Okay.
I think 3 months is a long time, though.
I mean, that's since what, May?
I mean, it's not.
He's seen some of
it's
it.
not enough time to be like, hey, that's wrong.
Yeah, you
know.
know.
I mean, like, I'm going to step in here and tell you how to run this program.
But you definitely noticed something.
Oh, you got to.
Or else you shouldn't be the head coach.
Let's see. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to hire a football coach today, or even in the next month.
And Nick Saban is not letting Tommy Reese walk after he just brought in
No
the
way.
quarterback from Notre Dame. That's the only reason he's there.
No way.
So he's not going.
I just.
Or they could both walk.
I don't know. I don't know how you. I don't know how you. I don't know how you would hire this coaching position to be long term at this point. Like, first
tough.
off, your pool to choose from is so small, and if like guys like Tommy, I mean, I'm with Lloyd. Nick Saban, he's not letting that happen. I mean, he'll just.
You're not going.
I mean, he'll
just hired you.
Or he'll double it. I mean, he'll make sure
Yeah.
that it doesn't happen. You know, I mean, he's a month and a half before the season. I mean, like, that's off the table, I would imagine. I don't know, man. It's going to be crazy. Adrian Bailey, I appreciate that. He said On3 is reporting the Rees News that he is a candidate for the job. No real news, just that his name is circulating as somebody to watch.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting an install right now. He's not going anywhere, but that would be great for LSU if Alabama
I mean, is that
lost
a good?
their
Is that a good? I mean,
coordinator.
like I said, Pat Fitzgerald really is. He is Northwestern football. You know, I mean, you wonder how good is the job without him. I mean, he almost made it. You know, I mean, really.
Jimmy Guidry, Coach O, is available.
Yeah, talk to his daddy.
I mean, look, I know that.
I don't think Coach O is intellectual enough to be at Northwestern.
That would be a perfect fit.
I mean, Coach O's done.
Yeah,
I mean,
he has
done.
to be. Huh?
He's done. And I don't mean that disparaging. I just think that he's
good.
He's at a different level, right? I mean, like he's not worried about driving on back roads.
Some people can't quit it though.
Louisiana.
I mean, you talk about Rick Pitino, same thing. Where it's like I'm obsessed with this. I don't know why.
I don't know if Ogeron is.
I feel like
I
mean,
if
there's
Ogeron
part of him
is.
that is
I mean,
for sure. What else does he do?
And
He's
look,
never done
I
anything.
don't mean this, but look at what happened to his priorities.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he had it.
You either fall more in love with it or you fall
I mean,
out with it.
Exactly. I mean, success will expose you too.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, just like sports, I mean, different layers of sports will expose you at different levels, and you have to be able to handle success. And success will either prove that you undyingly love it, like Jay Johnson undyingly loves it. That first national championship 5 years from now will just be a part of the story.
It's the tip of the spear.
You know, exactly. I mean, like, that's going to be something that really was just a part of the journey of getting him to where he's building a powerhouse again, right? You can see it. You can hear it. He obsesses about it. You know, when Ogeron won, you saw him everywhere but the facility. You know, he was on TV with the governor's message.
That was just prove it.
He was.
That was his.
Pictures popping up all over the place. It was never about football again. You know, I mean, the story started to trend of
he won, but then this happened, right? I mean, a lot of people's story happens where, or not a lot, you know, the elite, the successful people's story happens when they win. You know, Saban was in his office recruiting the next morning. You know, I mean, all those types of stories where you would heard that's the personality. That's the difference in it. Not right or wrong.
No.
You know, it's not right or wrong because I can't promise that if I didn't coach the best college football team ever in my hometown state and got a huge increase in my payment for it, that I would have handled it the right way. You know what I mean? Like I really cannot say like, oh, how could he have done that? Like if your salary goes from what you're making to quadruple what you're making, you're walking around and everybody is, you know, it's just handling success. It's just being able to handle success.
Well, the great ones are never comfortable.
Right.
And it seemed like for Coach O,
he was too comfortable.
That was validation because of everything that happened at Ole Miss. Like, he can't do it. He gets the second shot. He takes over for Les Miles, who was already pretty successful. And they're like, well, Ed can't do this. He's already fucked it up once.
Yeah, wasn't supposed to get the job.
Wasn't supposed to get the job. Gets the job. Wins the national.
it.
Proves everybody wrong. And he's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't need to do anything.
Like,
in his mind, he was good. The great ones go, like Jay Johnson, which he seems to be, we're just getting this thing going.
Right.
Like, that was, I knew I was going to win one. For Coach O, that was just as much of a ride for him as it was for everybody else. Like oh my God, this is unbelievable.
His natty was almost like a fuck you.
Yeah, it was a fuck you tour. And then after that, what do you have to prove? He's like, I don't have to prove anything.
And then he's like, I want a natty.
But that's not a head coach mentality. That's not.
That's why he always brought it back up
Mhm.
every time he would get in trouble.
Then
2019, that's how he did it.
Yeah, then it became, I'm going to get my money.
Like, all right, Ed.
Yeah, like, all right, just wanted the next goal for you. As opposed to a head coach who goes, 2023 was just that's part of the bulletin board. We're going to 2024.
Mhm.
Like, I'm about to stack this thing up.
Bryce Langston can still play, though.
All right, we'll be back with you tomorrow. Make sure we're going to talk some recruiting. Shay Dixon will be here. We will also hear from Jacques on a Wednesday. For everybody here, hit that like button, share button, comment button. Thanks for being here with us on this Tuesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Have a great day.
Have a great day.